So, of course, anyone has any questions, we welcome. This is interactive, so we welcome all contributions. So we'll start with the quiz, and so we'll pull the poll. So I'm going to launch the poll now, and just interactive like the last time. So self-love as defined in the course means never challenging yourself, challenging self in a loving, supportive way. So okay. So I see, okay, I think we've had the poll and share results, and there we go. Yes, everyone, there we go, which is what we talked about. It's not, I think that sometimes I will understand that I will often hear people have a confusion about, if I accept myself, do I just accept myself for everything that I am and everything that I do? Well, self-acceptance is being able to accept our shadows and our positives, and then being able to challenge what is hurtful, detrimental, or things that we want to balance out, and you know, challenge our behaviors, our thoughts, our actions. And that's what we call regulating our own selves, regulating our own actions, our thoughts, our beliefs, our patterns. But it's how we go about doing the regulation. And what we want to do is regulate in a loving and supportive way. So next question and polling. So number 2, emotional habits are, here comes Sequoia. We have, sorry, admitting. So launch poll. Okay, sorry, I sometimes. So you can, emotional habits are easily changeable, are stubborn, and need repetition. I'm just trying to, waiting room admit. There we go. So again, emotional habits easily changeable, are stubborn, and need repetition to change, will go away if we ignore them. Okay, so we are on point today. Yes, emotional habits are stubborn and need repetition to change. And that's one of the things that were one of the points we wanted to get across yesterday, is that when you are looking to change a pattern, be kind to yourself, be supportive of yourself, and give yourself the opportunity and chance to make the change. It takes consistency, it takes patience, it takes the compassion and the self-love. And so if you have realistic expectations, you won't beat yourself up for falling back into old patterns, repeating old patterns that you're trying to change. You will allow yourself to grow and change the patterns that you want to change in a loving, compassionate way. So yes, we definitely need, it's much more helpful to and successful for us to move towards the change in a loving way, because one of the things that you'll always hear me say is beating ourselves up will be detrimental to our ability to change. It will slow down the process and actually sabotage it. So to change emotional patterns, I must berate myself every time I fall into the emotional habit. I must be kind to myself and encourage myself. It takes time to change a habit. Kind of gave this one away already. Get angry at myself for being so stupid to repeat the same behavior when I am trying to change. Expect myself to be perfect, then I will be perfect. So yes. yes, I did kind of give this one away, and the sharing of the results. Yes, be kind to the self. Like I said, if we expect ourselves to be perfect, not only is that absolutely impossible, it is an unrealistic expectation. No one can do it. But it's amazing how much of human nature has this narrative of, I'm not perfect, I need to be perfect, I didn't do this perfectly, where there is no such thing. So recognizing again, that we are shadows and light, that we have weaknesses and strengths. And our goal and the whole takeaway in this is that we use our strength to support our challenges and our weaknesses. And we want to work. So the goal of this is the self-love, building the self-kindness. And we've been leading up to this in the previous sessions. And so we really want to keep reminding ourselves, how do we want to be treated by others, and to treat ourselves in the same way. And the thing about being hard on ourselves is that if it's a pattern, it's a very hard pattern to break. And so it takes consistency and time. So the brain is changeable through consistency and repetition, cannot change no matter what I do. It's fixed the way it is. It gets old and stuck in its ways. So no point in even trying to change any thoughts, behaviors, or actions. Okay, so I see everybody going right along here. Of course, yes, the brain is changeable, and certainly neuroscience, all the studies done in that area are showing that the brain can always be tweaked. However, of course, the brain also lays tracks about habit. In terms of habits, there's only so much real estate in our brain, actually. So our brain is only capable of holding so much, so to speak. And so when we repeat the same pattern, the brain it'll take up that much real estate, and we would need to, so if we're anxious all the time, if we're beating ourselves all the time, if we're being hard on ourselves, that will become an emotional habit, because it lays like a tract in the brain, as like a pathway or a road in the brain. And so it will just go back to that, because it's now. So we have to unwire to rewire. And that's what we're going to be focusing on, how we can unwire and rewire so that we can change the patterns, despite how stubborn they may feel, how difficult it may feel. It is doable. So when it comes to my emotions, others dictate how we feel. We have no power over our emotional responses. We can learn to direct our emotions and gain control of our responses through repetition, consistency, and commitment to ourselves and effort. It should be commitment to, it should have been our effort. I think maybe ourselves and effort is what I really meant to say. Okay. So yes, when it comes to emotions, we can learn to direct our emotions and gain control of our responses through repetition, consistency, and commitment to ourselves and to the effort. And that is how change comes about. In just a recap of yesterday as well, that when we have ingrained patterns, like say something is very stubborn, it's been around a long time, it can often feel it controls us more than we control it. And it can feel like this learning to direct our emotions feels very hard, very difficult, and nearly impossible, because that, again, that tract in our brain, that habit has become so entrenched, and it's automatic. It's happening at nanoseconds. We don't have to think about it. So it feels like we don't have control anymore. We have no control over it. And people who struggle with different emotional and mental health challenges will often feel this way, because it's happening unconsciously. And when a habit occurs, it does become an unconscious pattern. We're just doing it without thought, without processing information. We simply do it by rote mechanics. And that's when because you have to become conscious, you have to become aware in order to change it. And that's why it can be very difficult. And because it's just occurring independently or seemingly independently out of air. So, and that's why a person can feel, I can't control this. I have no control. And so it's not as easy as it can sound, especially when something is very, very habitual. Also, if you've had some traumas around an emotional pattern, it can be very difficult to change. So I say that because I really, not just for information, it just allows more compassion towards the self and self-love when something feels like really hard, and it can enable you not to give up, to be more persistent, but persistent or consistent with compassion and kindness and self-support, not by being angry at yourself for repeating patterns, not being by angry at yourself for doing the same thing. And I said that a lot yesterday. It's certainly something that I will repeat today as well, because it's very, very easy to fall into being hard on the self and having unrealistic expectations. So the only triggers we need to worry about and address are the ones coming from outside of us, what people say to us, what is happening in the world, what people are doing to us, etc. Yep, you guys are on point. And because we have triggers, what's going on inside of us, which is where we are 24/7. I can walk away from a person, but I can't walk away from myself. I can't walk away from what I'm feeling inside. Also, we trigger ourselves by what we're thinking and processing. If I start worrying, I'm going to trigger a lot of fears. I'm going to trigger a lot of anxieties. I'm going to trigger a lot of different emotions that can be quite detrimental. So yes. And number 7, how many positives are needed to overturn one negative? Let's get 2 more votes in. 2 more votes. Just give it a guess. 1 more, and we're good. Just let's see. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's share these results. We have 2 different responses. Yes, I covered this very, very briefly yesterday. So number 4 is correct. It is that it takes 4 positives to overturn a negative. So it is shown in relationships, and this is good for you to know for your own actions and from connecting with other people in relationships, is that if someone says something negative to you, it takes 4 positives for that person to repair that negative. And so why we can really, a person can say, but I try, I'm doing better, I'm improving, or I'm sorry, and you're still stuck in that hurt or that resentment or that anger or whatever, or you're feeling, or the distrust. Because again, remember when I talked about the negativity bias, how our brain is wired for the negativity bias because of the fight, flight, and freeze. And so we can fixate on those negatives at the expense of seeing the positives. And so, and if we have particularly something that we have had a lot of negative experiences around, we will then be quite biased in terms of holding on to that negative story and it coloring our perspective. That's not just good for us to know in terms of relationships, it's good for us to understand in terms of ourselves, that if we beat ourselves up, how it can be so hard to come back to our self-esteem and our self-worth, that the repairing it takes more effort than the action of tearing it down. So if you tear yourself down, you're going to have to kind of quadruple the effort to build yourself up. And so that's why it's so much work and effort to create that better place inside of you. So that's why catching yourself, being aware of the self-berating or the self-attacking or the self-put-downs is very helpful. So if you can kind of catch yourself and be aware of it, then you can shift it to more positives and break that pattern so that the repairing is quicker, faster, and less arduous and as much effort. So, okay, we have some, let me share the results. This was one of the little things on the PowerPoint yesterday. 1 point of laughter can boost the immune system. And yes, it is 24 hours. That's what studies have shown. And so really worth it to give yourself a good belly laugh. Remember again that when you're laughing, it's in your belly, and a good minute of laughter is actually triggering your relaxation response. And your relaxation response, of course, helps to boost and strengthen your immune system. And so, yes, lots of benefit. That's why laughter is, the laughter is the best medicine. Don't we hear that? So there you go. That's why before there was even science to show that we have we understood the power of a laughter, of a smile. I remember yesterday that I also said that if you smile very deeply with your, into your eye, that big grin that you might not be comfortable just like sitting at your desk, just grinning at yourself by yourself. People might think like, what's wrong with you? But it will trick your body, rather it will trick your mind into thinking that you're happy, because the facial muscles of smiling send a message to your brain that you're happy, and then it will evoke your happy hormone, so to speak. So those are just really easy coping styles, and you might not want to do it socially, and something that you can think about. Let me try that and see if it works. So thank you. So I think we're share results. So we see what we change emotional habits by changing our brain through repetition. Yes, all of the above, absolutely. Being aware of our emotions and managing our emotions. Absolutely, that is how we change. And so it's that combination of repetition, awareness, and self-management. So that's where we regulate our behaviors, regulate our actions. If we want to improve ourselves, we cannot let ourselves off the hook. We must criticize ourselves and berate ourselves for the bad behaviors. A couple more people polling. And then, okay. Share results. Okay, so no, this is absolutely false. And so whoever said it was true, of course, you don't have to expose yourself. I'm not asking for that at all. No need. And I don't want you to berate yourself because you thought it was true. So one of the things that happens when we have self-berating patterns is that when we're trying to create change, of course, we berate, say you work at it today and you don't put any effort in the next day, then you berate yourself because you didn't try. So you don't want to use the new information to justify the same old pattern of behavior. So no, a strong message here, and a really strong takeaway, because this is actually something people think quite commonly, that if we want to create change, we really do you just can't let yourself off the hook. You've got to criticize yourself. You've got to point out your bad behaviors. You need to berate yourself for, and naughty, slap yourself on the wrist, beat yourself up. No. What that does is that it leaves you feeling worse about yourself. So many things come back to feeling unworthy, not good enough, inadequate. And when you beat yourself up, that's a primary feeling that comes out of nearly everything. We have shame, we have guilt, we feel not good enough and imperfect, because we are imperfect. We have weaknesses, but it's how we decide to interpret the weaknesses that we have. And we want to do that through self-love. So again, self-love is not letting yourself off the hook. It's not saying, I just accept myself for being abusive or being mean or being terrible or being too kind and not taking care of myself or letting people walk all over me. That's not what we're saying. Self-love instead is creating change through self-support, through self-encouragement, acknowledging a weakness, acknowledging something that is less than what we want to be, or something that we recognize is harming us or harming others. So because remember, we regulate all day long, all the years of our life, we're regulating ourselves. We're processing information, we're taking a look at ourselves and reflecting on ourselves. So how are we going to go about doing those reflections, self-reflections, and how are we going to address the multiple behaviors or actions or thoughts or emotions that are less than stellar, harmful to others, harmful to ourselves? We acknowledge it. We can acknowledge that it wasn't healthy, it wasn't kind, it wasn't who we want to be. We want to change it. And then we direct ourselves toward that change by showing ourselves the polar opposite. If I was angry, I can imagine myself being calm and believing that I can accomplish that task. If I was a doormat and allowed someone to mistreat me, I can see myself taking a stand, not necessarily argue with a person who's not going to change, but working on how I can build my self-esteem if that person is never going to do anything about it. And I can accept them for who they are, but I can take care of myself. But instead of berating yourself, I should have said that, I should have done that, I should have been that, berating yourself, which then of course just feeds into the low self-esteem feeling inadequate, feeling not good enough. Instead, you encourage yourself towards it, show yourself what change you can make, and believe that you can do it through repetition and consistency. And so that's the difference. So thank you all for participating in the quiz, and of course, all of you for being here. We also have on the right-hand side, Tia, I don't know if you can just add it again for any new people coming in, a short quiz that we'd like you to take before the end of the day or the session, or you can copy and paste it and do it after. It's very quick and very short. And we're just assessing the well-being of the women nationally. So a quick recap, which the question and answers did a quick recap, but just touching base on what we have been learning. Sorry, I'm just trying. Oh, there we go. I'm just trying to get something to move. There we go. So of course, we have the 3 basic techniques. There's one, the breathing, where you breathe in and out of your diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing, pushing your belly out to breathe in, pulling your belly in to breathe out, and slowing down the breathing at the same time. So you're using your diaphragm to breathe and trigger the relaxation response. The second one of that is grounding, because I can belly breathe and still be stuck up in my head, ruminating, processing. So to take it to the next level and to balance out those stress responses of fight, flight, and freeze, we ground, because otherwise we're going to disconnect from ourselves. We're going to struggle in our head, and we will also try to escape. So the grounding helps to balance out. So the breathing helps to bring down that stress response. The breathing helps to trigger the relaxation response as the autonomic nervous system response that we can control. And the only one that we can control is the breathing. The grounding helps to break out away from the stress response by doing the opposite, by grounding us. And so we do that by connecting to the different points in our body and getting down to our feet. And in the learning process, you might not get all the way to your feet. You might get to a part of your body. And over time, you learn to get right down to your feet. So you're breathing, you're grounding, so that gets you out of your head. And then you focus on the positives, your positive feeling, a calm feeling, or whatever the calm feeling, whatever the positive feeling that you're having from breathing, usually calming, relaxing, peace, clear-headedness, because of course, breathing, grounding allows you to get to that positive place. And that of course helps to mitigate or soften that negativity bias. And when we're not in a negative place, the stress responses as well come down because we don't feel threatened. And so that combination is very, triage of breathing, grounding, and positive focusing is what helps to get us to that place where our mind and body can trust and relax. So, and then from our positive focusing, we can add on the next element of the positive. Two other elements is focusing on our safe place, which is your image or your metaphor for your safe place, using your imagination. Recapping again that the imagination uses all your senses. It's not singularly visual. It can be any of your senses or a multitude of your senses. You can be in your garden and you're smelling the garden, you smell it, or you hear the sounds of birds chirping or trees rustling. You can, so even if you're not that visual, for instance, and you don't really see the green or can it, but so any of your senses, all of your senses, some of your senses can take you to your safe place using your imagination. So that gives you a place to be in your body. So when you feel you're calm, you focus on that calm feeling, and then your symbol, your image, your calm place that you can ground into and use your imagination to connect with, and that will be the safe place within you. So, and then additional to that is the positive reinforcement, breaking through the self-critic by imagine giving yourself a hug and building yourself up with positive reinforcement, what you appreciate in you, what you value in you, supporting your self-worth. We will do this exercise right after. And these are basically 5 different strategies that gets you into a very strong place, and you're going to use that strength to support the stressor or the challenge that you're facing. So instead of trying to escape or struggle with it or numb yourself out and not feel, from your strong place, you can use that strength to support the stress that you're feeling, so that you're not avoiding it and that you're not. And then, so basically we help to balance out our fear responses with the confidence, which is when you build yourself up through the positive reinforcement. And I talked about how when we don't trust ourselves, don't trust the world, that lack of confidence in ourselves, the world makes us feel unsafe. And of course, when we feel unsafe, it triggers our stress responses. So that's why that confidence building is a significant balance and helps to diffuse the stress response. We talked about seeing and reinforcing our self-appreciation, our own best friend, and training our brain with positive reinforcement. So those were all the points that we talked about, that was the recap. And if anyone has any questions, please stop me at any point, raise your hand, or interrupting is fine as well. And so the key steps to balancing the stress responses, which we went through: the deep belly breathing, the slowing of the breath, the grounding into the feet to balance out the stress response. We focus on our calm feelings. We focus on our positive or happy, safe place within us using our imagination, and also the positive reinforcement. And we use that calm strength to support our stressors to balance out the stress responses. So we're able to identify our stressor feelings. So you allow yourself to feel rather than, again, the fight, flight, or freeze responses. So instead of avoiding your feelings or struggling or not feeling, you can feel using your strength to support. And the reason that we try to avoid or not feel or struggle is because we don't want to feel the feeling. If I'm feeling inadequate, I don't want to feel that. If I'm feeling hurt, I don't want to feel those emotions. And so, but if we don't manage them, they don't go anywhere, and the stress response we're always using our stress response to cope, which just, of course, exacerbates and intensifies the problem. So instead, we build our strength to help manage those stressors. And so we build internal confidence through positive self-reinforcement, and we focus on our breath, our safe place, and positive self-reinforcement. So those are the basic steps. I'm going to do a little bit of editing of that before I send this out to you, just so just a matter of the little spaces. Any questions? So let's do our little exercise now to start the session, so that we're all in that really, really great place. So everyone just get comfy. If you're lying down, enjoy. If you're seated, just plant your feet firmly on the ground. If your feet are crossed, please uncross your feet. Stay still, shoulders relaxed, chest relaxed, and your hands in a comfortable position on your lap or somewhere comfortable. And so we're going to start with the deep breathing. We'll ground, we'll do the positive focusing and the self-reinforcement, and then we'll invite you to look at the stressor, any stressor that a recent stressor, let that go and come back to your positive place. So those are the steps we'll go through. Let's start with the breathing. Slowing your breathing down and breathing in and out of your belly. So you're going to count in your mind to 3. You could even count to 4 if you feel you've gotten to that point. Inhale, push your belly out, 1, 2, 3, even 4. Exhale, pull your belly in, 3, 2, 1. The important thing is that you're breathing in and out of your belly, and you're slowing your breathing down. Your exhalation is what triggers the relaxation response. So letting that air out your belly and slowly letting it out really helps your body to get to that calmer place. Push your belly out to inhale, pull your belly in to exhale, slowing the breathing down. And you can count in your mind so that you can give your brain a rest as well. 1, 2, 3. So if your mind starts chitter chattering, just focus on your counting. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So you can keep the counting in your mind. Let's bring the focus to your throat as we ground you. Focus on your throat area. Push your belly out to inhale. Pull your belly in to exhale, slowing the breath down. Bring your focus to your chest and heart area. Focus so you're coming down. Push your belly out. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 3, 2, 1. Bring your focus down to your belly area. Slow your breathing down. Push your belly out slowly and evenly, and pull your belly in slowly and evenly, letting the air out as you keep your focus in your belly area and your torso area. Bring your focus down to your hips. Again, if you're only land in one place in your body, that's good enough. If you could keep going, please do. Wherever you are is good enough. Practice will get you right down to your feet as long as you're out of your head. Bring your focus down into your hip area. You can even imagine the bones, but just concentrate your focus in that area of your body. Push your belly out for the inhale. Pull your belly in for the exhale. Bring your focus down to your thighs. You're getting into your body. Notice the increase in calm as you come out of your head and start grounding yourself. Feel your muscles, feel your skin. Push your belly out. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 3, 2, 1. Deflate your belly. All the air leaves your belly. Bring your focus to your knees. Feel the bones, the muscle. Concentrate on that area of your body. If you can't get all the way down, no pressure to yourself. Wherever you are is good enough. Belly out, belly in. Bring your focus to your calves. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. Right down to the soles of your feet if you get to that point. Feel the bones, feel the muscle. Keep your concentration in the soles of your feet throughout the entire exercise. So your perspective will be coming from the ground, from the soles of your feet, rather than from the top of your head. So we're bottom up rather than top down. Usually our perspective is coming from our head. Keep your perspective coming from the soles of your feet. The perspective is way broader. When you're in your head, you don't have to be aware of below. When you're grounded on the earth, you're aware of everything. You're aware of what's going on in your head. So if your mind wanders, just come back to your feet or come back to a place in your body. Push your belly out to inhale. Keep yourself grounded. Notice the increase in calm or positive feeling as you ground and breathe. So you have those two happening at the same time. Focus on your feet, perspective coming from your feet. Push your belly out to inhale. Pull your belly out to exhale. Let's focus on your calm feeling, where you feel your calm feeling in your body, your relaxation feeling, and your image of your relaxation place, your calm place, your positive place. This is the safe place inside of you. Using your imagination, using all five senses, sight, touch, smell, taste, sight, whatever, or use all or some, whatever stands out, be it you're in a garden, you're on the beach, you're sinking into cushions, wherever your calm place is, feel that as vividly as you can. Your imagination is evoked through the deeper, through the emotional connection, how vivid it is. So focus on the vividness of it and the realness. Notice the increase in calm. And in your calm, safe place, imagine yourself. You don't have to physically see yourself. You can just imagine your presence there. If you may see yourself as a clone or a twin, or just sense yourself. Imagine giving yourself a hug. Even if you don't see yourself or sense yourself, you can actually put your arms around yourself and feel your physical body. Whatever works for you, we're all different. Work with yourself. Hug yourself physically. Imagine hugging yourself. You might see your body or imagine the clone of yourself or your twin, hugging your twin or your clone as if that was another person. These are all available. And as you embrace yourself, feel you're caring for yourself. Feel love as you would love another person. And as you do that, now is your time for your positive reinforcement, what you appreciate in you, what you value in you. Communicate 3 things that you appreciate in yourself, that you value in yourself, and repeat that 4 times. Remember, 4 positives to shift 1 negative. Notice how you feel as you give yourself what I call your positivity boost. Boost yourself. See your qualities. That you appreciate that you're special. You're kind, you're loving, you're caring, you're smart. You can, as many as you want, give yourself your positivity boost. Notice how you feel, the building of confidence. So you have your calm, and you have your strength, your confidence building. You have 2 seated side by side, your calm and your strength. Let's absorb that into you. Let's absorb all that positivity into your feet and into your calves, into your thighs, into your back, into your belly, into your chest, your shoulders, arms, and hands, your throat, your jaw, nose, eyes, brain, and skull. And that's just flowing as your breath from the perspective of your feet, so you're grounded. We're going to use that calm and confidence, so that the 2 as Siamese twins, as building blocks for the self, to support you through the stressor. Keep breathing. I just want you to turn your attention now to a recent or a current stressor. Maybe it's a professional stressor, or a situation where you put yourself down or somebody put you down. So where you feel low on yourself, not good enough, don't measure up, or you're thinking of a professional stressor that you're frustrated, you're angry. So just turn your attention. Remember, go to that memory in the past week of a professional stressor or an emotional stressor, or you stressing yourself out over worrying, putting yourself down. So you're going to that stressor and thinking about that and noticing what you feel as you think about your stressor. Do you feel angry, not good enough, hurt, devalued, powerless, frustrated? Whatever you are feeling in your body at this time, let's let it go. It might feel like something hard, or just your memory of it. It might feel like a heaviness in your body. Let's start letting that go. Let's take that stressor, whatever, and that feeling connected to it, take it out of your head. Take it out of your jaw, take it out of your throat, just put it in the garbage. Let's take that stressor out of your shoulders, arms, and hands. Take it out of your heart and chest. Take it out of your back. Take it out of your gut. Take it out of your hips, legs, and feet. Just let's take it out of your body and just feel the power of taking it out of your body, that you gaining control of the emotion rather than that emotion controlling you. So you have the power of this is how you take control of the emotion rather than it controlling you. And you let it go. And now we come back to your positivity, your positive place. Come back to your breath. Focus on your breath. Feel your breath. Inhaling in and out of your belly from grounded back in the soles of your feet. So you feel the ground. You're breathing in and out of your belly. You're in your safe place in your body, replacing that stressor with the calm, with the safe place, grounding. And once again, your positivity boost. Give yourself your positivity boost. Your positive self-reinforcement. Hug yourself, love yourself, support yourself. And now, finally, as you feel that calm, deepen your bones, deepen your muscle, the confidence, deepen your bones, deepen your muscles from the perspective of your feet. Turn back to that same scenario and now see yourself reacting differently. Now that you're calm, now that feel your confidence, you're going to use that strength. Now reimagine that same scenario. Instead of reacting, you're calm. Instead of beating yourself up, you're giving yourself love. Instead of being frustrated, you feel your strength inside. So change the narrative, change the story, see yourself acting differently, thinking differently, feeling differently. Same circumstance, different response. Take 3 more deep breaths. Inhale, belly out. Exhale, belly in. Push your belly out to inhale. Pull your belly in to exhale. Breathing deep. Focus on your feet. Feel your calm. Boost yourself. 1 more breath. 1, 2, 3 for the inhale. 3, 2, 1 for the exhale. And you can all open your eyes. And I welcome some feedback. Anyone would like to share any thoughts, experiences, how they felt doing that? Did it feel different to before? Any challenges? Were you able to feel that you could change your stressor? Did you see yourself at the very final one? That was an add-on today. Seeing how you're acting differently, same scenario, but different reaction just by changing not just actually by putting in the effort, because it's certainly not just, it's really quite a bit of work. By changing how you feel, by changing how you're processing that in that scenario, by treating yourself with kindness, then reacting differently, feeling differently, and seeing yourself differently in the same situation. I'd love at least one feedback. Any volunteer? Do I have everybody with me? One person? Ah, Garolyn, thank you. So I see Adelza and I see Garolyn. So Garolyn, I saw you first. So I'd love to hear from you. And then Adelza, I'd love to hear from you after. Thank you.
I was basically just responding because you were asking if anybody's with you, and I'm here paying attention, did the exercise. As I said, it's very, very calming. I'm in the office, and it's just calming. It just takes you to a peaceful place where you tend to get to know more about yourself. You are focusing on your breathing, watching your stomach rise and go down, and you're just in that place, and your mind is just blank. You're just focusing on you, and that's what I experienced. That is what I experienced just now. Just closing my eyes, shutting out the world, shutting out everything. That is what I experienced.
And so, Garolyn, were you able to go to the stressor and let go of the stressor and come back to your calm place?
I didn't do with the stressor because the stressor is work, as I said before. I don't think I'm used to my capacity. So being here sometimes, I try not to think about it. I make the best of my day, do everything.
Right, but in the exercise itself, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't go there.
Okay, well, I encourage you to give that a chance to see what that is like, because it is, because I'm sure, and I'll ask you then, because as you went through each step, when you went from the breathing to the grounding to the positive, you could feel a deepening of your calm through each step. Is that correct?
Yes.
So whether you're ignoring your stress or not, it still would be in your body. So it is helpful just to let yourself turn your attention rather than avoid it, even though you're there, to actually acknowledge that feeling and let it go. So
I'll try that next time.
Right, just because I know you're calm, so you just want to stay calm, but you want to really, you know, the goal of this, the additional goal of this, the added benefit is to let yourself acknowledge the feelings that are uncomfortable, the stressors, the difficulties. And so from that calm place, that more confident place, and you acknowledge or feel those uncomfortable feelings, but not get stuck in them, which is like wallowing them, which is the freezing, or fighting with them, or trying to escape to another, to feel better. So if you acknowledge those feelings, and from the calm place, and then you allow yourself to just acknowledge and feel it and let it go, it will help you to manage that in your day-to-day moment as well. Right. Because it trains you how to experience those different feelings and know that you can control and manage them more effectively. Thank you, Carolyn. I really appreciate your so Adelza, you were next, and then Sharon, you're next. I saw you raise your hand. Adelza, next, please.
Hello, good day.
Good day.
Well, I felt a sigh of relief. You know, it was very soothing and calm. I felt more relaxed, felt more confident, and, you know, and I just forgot about the stress level that was actually there, you know, after doing those exercises. That's how I felt personally.
So did you go back to your stressor, or you ignored your stressor as well?
I ignored my stress.
So we don't want you to do, we'll do another session just by calming and going to our stressor after this, before the end of the session today, just so I want you to have that experience. I want you to see what that does for you. Thank you for sharing. Sharon?
Well, just yesterday I was telling Adelza that, you know, sometimes we stress over things and we don't even realize we're stressing over it. Mm-hmm. And so today I was, you know, glad for the opportunity again on the supervision to focus on a stressor that I've had and be able to cancel it out, so to speak. Mm-hmm. To deal with it, so that I don't go forward with it anymore. As you say, you know, self-love, and realize that you're not perfect and that you can heal or, you know, grow from the position that you're at.
Thank you, Sharon. I really appreciate that. So, because you obviously got to your calm, confident place, and then when you turned to focus on your stressor, did you feel the stressor in your body then?
I did.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate your comment that we're often unconscious of it, because we don't want to turn this exercise of calm to be another way to avoid our stressors, because we want to use it. Because when you do that, when you train yourself to do that independently, you will take that into your day-to-day life, so that when you're feeling those stressors, you can actually manage them by, I feel inadequate now. I feel scared now. I feel vulnerable now. I feel angry now. I'm feeling that feeling. I can let that go and come back to supporting myself. Because like I said, the fight, flight, and freeze, they want you to not feel. They want you to escape it or overcome it, like, you know, battle it out basically, or freeze from it. So we do want to be able to just do a check. It's amazing how much, and Sharon, you are so correct, so much of it is unconscious. I could be feeling quite fine. I close my eyes, I go inside and I'm like, where's my stressor? And I'm like, I'm feeling it. I wasn't aware of it because we have a lot of stressors. So it is good, but first you find your strength. So the best approach, or the way that's safest, I would rather, a safe way to do it is by finding our strength, because otherwise our stressors can feel overwhelming and too scary and we can't manage them. And if we feel we can't manage them, we're not going to deal with them. So by finding a safe place, building our confidence, finding a strength within us, we use that strength to go, okay, I can now manage my inadequacy. I can face my anger. I can let that go. So we need to first build our strength to manage our stressor. So because then that safety, it allows you to face something that you might feel that you would be uncomfortable feeling or facing or confronting. So I don't encourage anyone to fly off to look at their stressor. I invite you first to find your strength to manage that stressor and to take care of yourself through it. That's self-soothing and self-nurturing. Thank you so much for the feedback. It's really helpful because we can know where to direct. So we'll do a final exercise before we wrap up today. So today we're going to talk about feeding your emotional health and starving your self-neglect. What we choose to focus on determines in large part the meaning of our lives. So in the past 3 sessions, I showed all the ways that we can get ourselves into unhealthy patterns because of our negativity bias, our stress responses, our body, our mind being designed to protect us. And because humans are wired with the light and the shadows, and the positives and the shadows, and we have those competing forces, we can get trapped, or we can build emotional patterns that don't support us, as well as the fact that we experience socially and environmentally, or even in our families and our upbringing, negative messages and negative experiences that also will strengthen the negatives, such as low self-esteem. If we have heard negative comments, had a lot of criticism, then we will learn to be critical of ourselves. So an example of healthy emotional patterns is where we can gain control after failure, meaning something doesn't go well in our lives, we look how we can change it or move forward, not get stuck in the failure. There was a saying that I read, which I really love. Success is going from one failure to another failure and not giving up. Persevering through failure. So I don't even like the word failure, quite frankly, and I don't use it. I say it's an opportunity to learn. There's no such thing as failure, only the opportunity to learn and grow. That's a phrase I use all the time when I'm feeling, oh, I didn't do that right. No, what can I learn from this? What positive thing can I learn? How can I grow from this? How can what lesson is here for me to learn to improve me and to change actions in the world? We find meaning in loss and trauma. So all throughout the difficulties, we try and find something that we can learn. And meaning is good because we can find negative meaning or we can find positive meaning. So I can decide that terrible thing happened to me, can't trust anyone in this world, nothing good is ever going to happen to me, believe that it's all going to be doomsday after. So we want to find something positive out of this. What can I learn? How can I be a better person? How can I help myself? Despite all the pains and the traumas and the difficulties of life, and some more so for others, because it's not, life isn't fair, so to speak. We don't all get dealt the same hand. So understanding that, that through your loss and your pain and your trauma might be a lot larger than someone else's. And so you might have to dig deeper, but that can teach you how to build an inner strength as well, how to resource within yourself. And the unfortunate thing about life is that we're the only ones that can fix it. Yes, we can get support from others. If someone comes and kicks me in the foot and I need to go and do rehabilitation, I'm the only one that can do the rehabilitation. Someone can teach me the exercises, do some work on me, but I have to go back and do the exercises every day. I'm the only one that can repair my injuries. And it can feel really hard, and not that we can't get support from others and we can't learn things and we can't, but we're the one that has, basically, we have to do the heavy lifting. So we want to have all the, you know, the resources and to help us do that. Healthy emotional patterns disrupt the urge to brood and ruminate, to overthink and processes and go through all the negativity and repeat the negative stories over and over in our minds. We nurture self-esteem with healthy emotional patterns. We revive self-worth after rejection, which is what we're doing here. We combat loneliness by identifying self-defeating behavior. So we're looking at ways, because loneliness and low self-worth are part and parcel of what everybody experiences as a human being. We may not have all the same experiences. We may have a lot worse than another person, but we all have feelings that we can all relate to. We will all know what it is to feel self-worth. We'll all know what low self-worth. We'll all know what it feels like to be lonely. One of the things that makes us, that nearly every human being feels that we're different. The very thing that makes us feel different is the very thing that brings us together. We're all sharing that same feeling. And we all go through feelings of not being understood. And so that loneliness is something we all go through. And we shed healthy emotional patterns. We shed excessive shame and guilt over past actions. We don't sit and beat ourselves up because we should have done this, we should have done that. I will always say that we cannot impose on our past what we now know in our present. We going through those experiences, what gives us the knowledge we now have, and then we can't go back and say, oh, I should have done this and I should have known this. How? We know it because we've been through that. So and that's in your imagination. You're going back to your past self and saying, you should have been this and you should have been that, and I should have known this. Unhealthy emotional patterns, being critical, self-critical, when self-esteem is already low. Bingo, love that. Because that's what happens. You feel low about yourself. There's a poor action that you did, or didn't like, and someone did, or something happened to you, or you're already feeling really low, and then you start beating yourself up about the situation. You're already low and you keep going. So you're using criticism, you're using low self-esteem to change low self-esteem. Won't work. You're trying, so, you're using criticism to get over criticism. Won't work. So that's a big one. You're already feeling low. That is a very unhealthy, but it's a very, very, very common emotional pattern. Giving up after quote unquote failure. Again, no such thing as failure. Opportunity to learn and grow. Life is full of challenges. Pushing people away when you're lonely, which is very often because people feel alone because they've been hurt, they've been damaged, people have betrayed them, disillusioned. And so then you feel that you can't trust the world or can't trust people. So that makes you feel, and then you already feel lonely. You probably had previous hurts in your past, and then it just keeps reinforcing the loneliness. Despite our hurts and despite the fact that humans are weak and make mistakes, never give up is what I would say. Look for those who you can feel safe with, or understand that maybe a person can only give you 50%, but can't give you, and you can look somewhere else. So being able to choose who you can keep and who you need to let go of. Indulging the urge to brood and ruminate is, again, feeding, which is the opposite. You're just going over and over the negativity, the bad things that happen, and feeding the negativity. Those are unhealthy emotional patterns. We will all have them, but we want to try and break out of them. All of us will do all of the above. It's part of what we do when we're in defense mode. And it's what we want to do is not get stuck in it and not let it override everything else. So take a moment now to write down what are 3 positive emotional habits that you have. So you can place in terms of their strongest to the weakest, or if that's too much effort, which is not required, just write down 3 things. Are you loving to yourself? Do you support yourself, an emotional habit? Do you try and find calm instead of, do you reach out to another person if you need support, if you're lonely, if you're lost? What are some of the ways that you, so those are 3 positive emotional habits. And then what are 3 of your negative emotional habits? Do you over worry? Do you beat yourself up? Do you overthink about negatives? Do you give up rather than keep going? So those are, so 3 positive emotional habits and 3 negative emotional habits that you know are part. So take a moment to just do that. And I'll just give you a moment to just be aware of, and then you can write them in order. Because what you can do, what we're looking at, why I asked you to put the order from strongest to weakest, and they may all feel even, and you can think about, you might not even be, you might not be aware which is the strongest, which do I do? Because what I want to take from this is, I want you to select out of the 3, the one that is the weakest, rather the strongest negative emotional habit and the strongest positive emotional habit. Because remember yesterday, we said we're going to just choose one thing to work on, not everything that's an issue. Choose one. So now we're going to choose one emotional negative habit, and you're going to choose one positive habit to help support it. Of course, I have given you several positive emotional habits, but I just want you to at least be aware of what's a strength in you already. You can build the other ones, because in your day-to-day moment, you can use that to help you through on the fly, in the moment, in day-to-day life when you're functioning. I want you to be able to be aware how that positive is, that you have that. So when you're beating yourself up, you can remind yourself about what's strong inside of you. You can turn to that and rely on it, because when you can have a confidence in something that you've already built up inside of you that's familiar, but when you're falling into a negative place, you have to remind yourself what's strong inside of you. So when you can be, oh, but I have this, you can pull up that strength. And that's why I want you to be aware of what is strong in you, that you can use to support that negative. And the negative emotion habit that I want you to be aware of here, I want you to say, okay, this is what I'm going to work on over the next few weeks. I'm going to work on this one. I'm going to choose, this is my singular battle. Just choose a battle. And so now that we have that, so you're going to choose one negative emotional pattern and be aware of your strongest positive emotional pattern, and other ones that back you up. You don't really have to limit the strong emotional patterns that you're aware of. But at least if you even just have one strong one in your ammunition for self-awareness. If you have more, wonderful. But we don't need to have a whole bunch of them. Just at least be aware of something inside of you that you're really confident that you have. Because that's where that helps you to build that trust within yourself and as a resource. So common emotional triggers are what is pretty standardized for human beings to go through. And these are emotions that get triggered that cause us to react, that trigger some of our negative emotional patterns. So your emotional triggers can also be an emotional pattern, a negative emotional pattern. But because you can get stuck in feeling like devalued, when feeling devalued is an emotional trigger. So I'm going to read a few of them. Common emotional triggers are feelings of lack of acceptance. You feel that you're not accepted. You feel disrespected. You feel disapproved of. You feel not good enough. You feel unimportant. You feel misunderstood. You feel out of control. You feel wronged. You feel mistreated or unfairly treated. You feel unappreciated. You feel not liked or valued. You feel unwanted. When you have these feelings, they trigger the stress response. These are internal feelings that trigger us to react, which is the stress response. You feel trapped or stuck. You feel unsafe. You feel dismissed or ignored. You feel unloved, insecure, not needed, bogged down, powerless. You feel lost. You feel confused. I want you to, so these are all feelings we will have. And when these feelings or one of these feelings gets triggered, it causes, again, that can cause this cascade of different, either the stress responses, the negativity bias, the self-beating, the self-berating, and the negative anger, aggression, the different, which is, of course, is part of the stress response. I want you to notice what is a strong theme here. The common emotion triggers, what the strongest theme here basically takes you back to feeling not good enough. When you feel unimportant, you don't feel good enough. You feel, devalued. You feel disrespected, you feel devalued. You feel disapproved of, you feel devalued. You feel not good enough, unworthy. You feel unappreciated, you feel unworthy. You feel not liked or valued, you feel unworthy. When people don't accept you, you feel unworthy. When you feel misunderstood, you feel unworthy. You feel not good enough. When you feel dismissed or ignored, you feel unworthy. You feel unloved, unworthy, not good enough. Insecure, unworthy, not needed, unworthy. Note how many of these you feel wronged. That makes you feel not good enough. Why aren't you valued? You feel unimportant. Notice, nearly all of these common emotional triggers takes you back to a common denominator. Not feeling good enough, not feeling, worthy, unworthy, not good enough. That's what is the baseline of what gets triggered, and we react, and that triggers our stress response, the fight, flight, or freeze, whether it's internal, something that we're struggling within ourselves, or coming from outside. But these are the emotions that get triggered that causes us to react. So even if it's someone saying something to us or doing something to us and it triggers these emotions, off comes our stress responses and that cascade of negative emotional reactions or negative emotional patterns. And that's why confidence building is such an important part of balancing out that stress response and our stressor reactions and calming us down. Because we want to soothe those core emotions of feeling unworthy that get triggered all the time. So that's why that combination of calming ourselves and boosting ourselves is so important, and they need to be side by side and support each other. If we're only calm, but we don't build our confidence, we can still get emotionally triggered. What do we do with these feelings when they come up? Yes, we can be calm, but we need to manage those emotions. So that positivity boost, that self-love, that hugging ourselves, that embracing ourselves gives us that feeling that we're worthy. So that's why we combine all of these as a combined exercise and work them together, and why we just don't do one over the other. And that's why we want to be able to use that calm and that confidence. So that calming ourselves brings down the stress response, the fight, flight, and freeze, and the boosting of the self helps to manage these common emotional triggers, the unworthiness that gets triggered in our lives that causes us the stress response. So that's why this process that we do here, this approach is built and designed to combine these two factors and work them together. Calm our stress response, ground ourselves, and support ourselves through those feelings of unworthiness that we may not even identify as the source of the problem. When you're feeling angry and someone is acting ridiculous towards you, and you leave thinking, well, why did they do that? And you're thinking about their bad behavior. What you're really feeling is either disrespected or rejected or abandoned or put down, and taking you back to feeling unworthy. So if you help that feeling rather than focus on how bad and terrible those parties are, let's say in a professional environment, and you have to go back and face them, then you're managing the feelings that are triggered, that without coping with those feelings don't go anywhere. They just stay in your body to be triggered tomorrow and tomorrow and become a consistent negative emotional habit. because unworthiness is an emotional habit that all humans need to work on, no matter who you are, what you do, where you come from. I have, and professionally, I've worked with people from all walks of life, different educational backgrounds, social backgrounds, racial backgrounds, all kinds. And this is what you hear no matter. This person will be this very successful, seemingly on the outside, financially well off, seemingly successful, but they feel unworthy, not good ugh. Another person, so it doesn't, you know, so when you're thinking a person looks so powerful, they're still struggling with some of these feelings. We're all struggling with these feelings. And so when a person is overly arrogant, they're really just trying to compensate for feeling unworthy. We don't often know we're feeling unworthy because no one wants to feel it. It sucks. It's an uncomfortable feeling. We're always trying to compensate for the fact that we feel unworthy. And so what we want to do it is in a healthy way. And that's why it's really important not to beat yourself down. And then that's why I reinforce that over and over. Don't work on beating yourself down, because when you beat yourself down, when you criticize yourself, when you berate yourself, you're reinforcing the very thing that you're trying to change. And you're reinforcing that emotional trigger of unworthiness. And so that's why the opposite is needed to really transform that. Support yourself, love yourself, encourage yourself, show yourself another way to be as a way, because most of the times when you're triggered, this is what's triggered. So any questions? So this is when I say, what are your most common emotional triggers? So you can choose from the list that I have over there. And so if you're going back, which ones would you list as your most common one? And again, it will still feed back to unworthiness. Is your, do you feel unimportant? Do you feel unsafe? Do you feel insecure? Do you feel not good enough? Do you feel devalued, ignored, powerless, unimportant, stuck, mistreated, victimized, dismissed? So just try and choose from but again, it'll all break it all down. It'll still lead to take you back to feeling of unworthiness, not being good enough. So even if you feel unsafe, you still feel devalued because you're not safe, like you're not important enough to even be safe. And so choose 3. I'll just give you another moment so that you can be more aware of what is triggering you, and you can manage all of these emotions through self-love. Give yourself a hug, give yourself your positivity boost. And it is important that I will add, when you're using your imagination, not to make it mechanical, make it real. Like you feel it. You're not just saying the words, but you're feeling, you can see. So when you can think of some of your positive emotional patterns that can help you, oh yeah, I value these in me. So you can be aware of your positive emotional patterns, so you have something to fall back on where you can really see the truth that you're enough. So what is the emotional habit you want to change? So I'm not asking anyone to share that. That's just to go back to where we went to choose one emotional habit you want to change. And so you now can identify what that is, be aware of the triggers that get evoked as well. And change is one day at a time. It requires patience. It requires compassion. It requires encouragement, support, kindness, understanding, commitment, and perseverance. Sounds like a lot, but they all go, once you do one, the others kind of cascade as well. If you're patient with yourself, you can find compassion. If you support yourself, that takes patience. If you're kind to yourself, you will understand yourself, and then you will keep going. You will always be human. You will always, quote unquote, make mistakes. And let's just eradicate that word and say, there will always be opportunities to learn and grow. Always, always. Bad things will happen to you. People will be terrible to you, but people will also be kind. Remember those, and so you balance that out, and just never give up on yourself, really. The calmer our brain can be, the more grounded we can be, the more love we can give to ourselves. We can invite the opportunity for that betterment. It takes time. It takes consistency. It's arduous work. I will never sugarcoat this because I do it for myself, so I know. And I change one pattern and then I work on another one. And some may be way, way more stubborn than other ones. And he's like, but I will, and I'm convinced when that pattern occurs that it's right, that I'm seeing the world the right way, that this, yes, can't trust this, or whatever negative narrative I may come into. And that situation is like, yes, look, that's what's happening. That I'm right. And I feel justified. But if I know that not trusting the world, for instance, if that's a pattern, is not serving me, then even when Mary treats me badly and Ivor is cruel to me, and they're like, see, can't trust anyone, that if I keep staying on that path, if I don't change that emotional pattern, then I'm going to always be in that circle. So it is tough. It is arduous. However, the reward is far greater than the effort, and you are really worth it. And it is hard to challenge ourselves. It really is. So, and when our stress response gets evoked, we don't want to calm down. We want to keep going towards it to protect ourselves. We want to keep going up. And it can be really tough to bring ourselves down to the ground, come to the calmer place when we're triggered. So, and if you're berating yourself and in that habit, you will be convinced that you need, well, in this time, I really do need to beat myself up because that wasn't good. So patterns will always try to seduce you to repeating them because they're habits, because you believe that, you think that way, you emote that way, and you're getting wired that way. So the world that we know is the world that we want to keep reinforcing. But when it's not working for you, you're worth the effort. So for our final little bit, I want to talk about, first of all, I'm going to ask anyone have any questions, any comments, anything they would like to add here before we get to the next. Any questions? I'm just going to take a quick of the, there we go. Any questions? Any comments? Anything anyone wants to add? Any thoughts? So for the last little bit, I'd like to talk about how we can take this to the next level. Before we do that, I do want to have everyone go through the final exercise. Let's do it one more time. We're going to get to the calm. So now you know why we're doing it all. We're going to get to the calm. We're going to ground. We're going to find your safe place inside of you. And you're going to give yourself your positivity boost, hug yourself, love yourself, positively reinforce yourself. The calm, the confidence, side by side as twins to support each other, to support you and build the ground that you can now take a look at a stressor. So I really need you all to really join in on this. Don't avoid your stressor now, whether it's a stressor outside, like a professional, and a recent stressor, please, nothing in your past, just the most current within the past week or two. Maybe a situation at work that's a stress for you and what that feels like, what you feel, that emotional trigger, feeling inadequate, feeling insecure, feeling not good enough, unworthy, or an experience where you were put down and you feel unworthy, or you berating yourself. So it can be an internal stressor. But I want you now, before we start, think about that before we start and get off the ground, because that's what I want you to use, that calm and use that strength to support that stressor, because stressors are happening all the time, even when you're not aware. You're feeling unworthy different times in the day, even when you're not aware. I am, you are, we all are. It's part and parcel of what it is to be human. It keeps us humble, and so we need our humility, but it can get out of control. So we want to balance it out. So it's okay I mean, nothing is wrong. We just want to create balance. It's all perfectly designed, but we fall out of balance. We overuse our unworthiness. And so you want to, like I said, you know, I don't want to feel I'm greater than anybody else, because I'm not. I'm just human like everyone else, no matter how, you know, I might put on my earrings and put on my beautiful necklace that my sister bought me in South Africa before COVID that I'm so happy to be able to put on today. Like, ooh, here's my moment. So yes, that can give you a little boost, but that's not, you know, so, but doesn't mean that I don't have, not just so I can look nice and polished out here, but inside I can have something triggers my unworthiness. It's happening when I wake up. Someone said something, someone did something yesterday, a week ago, and I still haven't processed it or resolved it. For instance, that's how we are as humans. So let's go through that little exercise now. So everyone, before we start, think about your stressor. Think about an emotional trigger of unworthiness. You choose in the last week or two. So keep it in the most recent, or again, a habit that you have, you berating yourself and how that makes you feel. And so that's an internal stressor. So either you're triggering the stressor, or the stressor is being triggered from something outside. But even when that trigger is outside of you, something inside of you is triggered. So that's still, it doesn't matter whether you're doing it or someone's doing it, it still all comes back to those are your emotions being triggered. Nice deep breath now, everyone. Close your eyes. Again, plant your feet firmly on the ground, or if you're lying down, just get yourself in a still position. Shoulders relaxed, don't lift them up. Chest relaxed. You're going to be only moving your belly to breathe. Inhaling, close your eyes, push your belly out for the inhale, pull your belly in for the exhale. Counting and slowing down your breath. 1, 2, 3 for the inhale. 3, 2, 1 for the exhale. Pushing your belly out for the inhale, pulling your belly in for the exhale. Bring your focus down to your throat. We're grounding now. Keep belly breathing and slowing your breathing down. As you breathe in and out your belly, focus on your throat. We're grounding. Come into your body. Come into your heart and chest. Belly out, belly in. Bring your focus down to your belly area. Focus on your belly. Push your belly out, pull your belly in. Bring your focus down to your hips. Focus on your muscle, your bones. Come down to your thighs. I'm doing it a little quicker now because we've already done it. Come down to your knees. Keep breathing in and out of your belly. Come down to your calves. Come down to your ankles. Come down to the soles of your feet. If any of you, again, you're not at your soles of your feet yet, wherever you are is good enough. Don't pressure yourself or struggle with yourself. Give yourself a chance to learn. Keep your body still, feet uncrossed. Don't move your body at all. Just stay still. Keep your focus in your feet, grounded, or wherever you are in your body. And that's the perspective you're going to be coming from, the perspective of the ground. And so keep pushing your belly out and pulling your belly in, breathing deeply, long, deep, even breath, and come to your calm feeling, or rather focus on your calm feeling, where you're feeling calm in your body, and your picture of calm, your image of calm rather, and you're sensing your calm place, using all your senses as vividly as you can, or some of your senses, whatever, and feeling your safe place in your body and where you feel safe in your body. Maybe you feel safe all over, maybe it's in your chest, maybe it's in your belly, maybe it's in your feet, maybe it's in your brain. Wherever it is, you're still coming from the perspective of your feet. And when your mind wanders, come back to your feet, come back to your counting. Focus on your calm place. Feel your safety in your calm place, your beach, your garden, your cushion, wherever you are. Be in your calm place, water, wherever you are, grounded in your calm place, vividly imagining it, using your senses. And in your calm place, imagine hugging yourself, whether it's a clone of yourself, your twin self, or a sense of yourself, or you put your arms around yourself physically. Embrace yourself, give yourself love, feel yourself loving yourself. Don't just go through the really feel it. Embrace yourself, love yourself, Feel your heart engage in loving you, and give yourself your positivity boost. Your positive reinforcement, what you appreciate in you, why you're worthy, what you value in you. See your emotional, positive and strong emotional habits. At least 1, 2, up to 3 or more. See that in you. Don't just say the words, see. And focus on the feeling of confidence that you feel when you boost yourself and you see the positives in you. So we now have a combination of calm and confidence combined together to support you, to manage your stressor. Breathe now, and let's turn your attention to your stressor. All of you, come back. Don't forget your breath. Focus on the stressor that you identified before you began the calming exercise and the strengthening exercise and the confidence boosting. And think about your stressor for a moment. Imagine it as vividly as you can and feel how you feel as a result of that stressor. What emotion is this evoking in you? Do you feel unworthy? Do you feel angry? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel hurt? Do you feel shame? Not good enough? Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. You're human. There's no shame to that feeling. It's a vulnerable feeling. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but it's part of who you are. And now let's support that feeling. Let's let it go. So focus on feeling it. Feel it in your body. Maybe it feels like something dark, something heavy. Maybe it's just a memory. You see it as a memory. Let's start taking that out, whether it's a heaviness, a darkness, a memory. Let's take it out of your head. Let's take it out of your brain and let it go. Let's take it out of your throat and chest. Take it out of your shoulders, arms, and hands. Take it out of your chest and heart. Take it out of your back and spine. Take it out of your gut. Take it out of your hips, legs, and feet. Just take it out of your body, put it in the garbage, and poof, let it go. You're letting go of that unworthiness, that stressor, that anger, that resentment, whatever you're feeling, you're just letting it go. All that stressor leaving, that stress leaving your body. Let's come back to your breath. Let's come back to your feet. Let's come back to your safe place and boost yourself again. Hug yourself, nurture yourself, give yourself a hug. You're back in your safe place now. You're loving yourself. You're giving yourself your positivity boost. And we're going to absorb that into you, replacing that stressor with the calm and with the confidence. Absorb that positivity boost, that calm, the confidence into your feet and into your calves and thighs, replacing that negative with the positive. Absorb it into your back and spine, into your gut, into your heart, chest, shoulders, arms, and hands, into your throat, neck, jaw, nose, eyes, brain, and skull. I want you to stabilize it, deepen your bones, deepen your muscle, deepen your skin. Own your calm, own your confidence as who you are. Claim it. You're worth it. This is who you are. This is your truth, not the other one. And as you feel it, breathing, perspective in your feet, see yourself in the same circumstance, now functioning or reacting or responding from the place of calm and from the place of confidence. See the difference. Change that narrative. So you see, same scenario, different reaction, different response. This is you changing the reaction, seeing that you can act differently. Breathe deep. 3 more breaths and I will bring you back. Your belly out to inhale, your belly in to exhale. Push your belly out. Hold your belly in, breathing from the perspective of your feet. 1, 2, 3 for the inhale and exhale. Feel your calm, feel your confidence in your bones, in your muscle, in your skin. And then you can now open your eyes, keep breathing. And any comments, any questions? I really like to hear from anyone, especially those. So I'm sorry, I'm going to pull you back up, Garalyn and Adelza. asking you how you feel now that you actually addressed the stressor and confronted the stressor. So let's start with Garolyn. Sorry to call you out. I just wanted to, because you offered the last time. How was that for you, please?
Hi.
Hi, Garolyn.
It was a surreal experience. Let me say that.
Oh, good.
Because when I started thinking about my stressor, I felt changes in my body. I felt my chest and my right shoulder feeling a bit tight. Just you know, it's weird. I never really expected that. I just felt, you know, this, and then I started focusing my breathing. When you said to come back and to let go of that stressor, the calm. I just felt that calm again.
Yes.
So I don't, maybe it's in my subconscious, because even though I try to ignore and don't really worry about it, because I would have said, you know, one day at a time, whatever happens, happens. But it's probably in my subconscious somewhere, because just thinking about it and focusing on it, I felt the changes in my body, like I was getting real tight. And yeah, so I was glad to be able to go back to that space where I let go and let it out. And I'm not sure if it's all out. Maybe I still need to practice it, because you know, it's, to get rid of that, I need to work on it.
Thank you for sharing, because I wanted you to have that experience, because that's what's happening in your day-to-day life. You start off calm, and then something happens and your body tenses, you're not aware. You're going into that feeling of unworthiness. You're not even aware, because it's just happening to us so unconsciously, because it's part of our life. But it's in our body. It's still there, but it's gone underground. And remember, the stress responses, that's the whole point of them, so that you don't feel. You don't, that's what the freeze is, to shut you down from feeling, to avoid the feeling, and to struggle with it. And so therefore, by confronting it, you can move through it and become aware. And that's the power. We want to be able to use this to support ourselves. Thank you for sharing. And that is what I hear as a consistency, that when you start, you go back there, you're aware, but then you can let it go. So that's how you don't have to be afraid of those emotions. And that's something you can do before you go to sleep. You find your calm place, you build your confidence. And then you use that to kind of do a body check. Any stressors, let them go, and your body will just be able to find the safety. And that repetition helps to, is a very, very powerful coping response. It also builds up your confidence. Adelza, do you have any experience you'd like to share with us? If you're comfortable.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Let me share with you, but I'm a little uncomfortable at the moment as well. The reason for this, I swallowed a fish bone last night, and I still haven't properly, to tell you the truth. So,
okay, well, I understand. Yes, of course.
Because, you know, I'm sort of like still thinking about it, because I can still feel it in my throat here.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's causing a little stress in between and trying to calm, you know. So, but I tried, and I will say I felt a little tense, and I, you know, in between. Then I became a little calm. After a while, feeling a little comfort in between. But I don't know if because of this situation that I'm feeling at the moment, because as I'm talking right now, I can still feel like the bone is still there slightly.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing. I mean, I'm not a, that's a real, right. I mean, I've swallowed it too, and I know what it's like. It probably just cuts a little bit. And so you have the feeling of it in your body, even though it's probably gone through. Yeah, you have this. But what you gave us, Adelza, thank you for sharing, is a real life scenario. That's real, that you can try and get calm, but something is interfering. And so it will not be the same every time. It will not be that you got into this calm yesterday and today you're not to get to the same calm, but something is just not, you're not letting it go as easily. It's still, you're still defending it. You're still, because of course, what you're describing is that this is, you're still concerned about your health. You're wondering if you're in danger. You still feel a sense of threat. That sense of threat and danger is still present, and it's preventing you from really just allowing that relaxation response to just fully come in, because you're feeling more safe if you can at least be aware and hyper vigilant of this problem. That's a real life scenario. And it's what happens. If something feels like that you still need to hold on to that high vigilance, then it's hard to just completely surrender, because you're still feeling threatened by that bone. That's normal. That's life. That's day to day. That is a good example. So, because we're not here like, oh, this is just saving my life. That's not going to happen. That is exactly what will happen in the moment to moment. However, you were still able to balance that out with calm. You could still find a calm, and that can help at least balance out the stress response going overboard and taking over, so that you can at least reason and rationalize and support some of that stress with some reasoning to make choices and discern what action to take. So thank you for sharing. And because again, that is what it is to be day to day, and how we can be really knowledgeable about how we can take all of this information, apply it in our everyday life, and not judge it for its differences. Every day, one day you'll be really completely peaceful. The other day, you'll really have a hard time getting there. But it's consistently, depending on the trigger. So thank you for sharing. So we have the last few minutes that I'd like to talk about the final, which I said is the next steps, which is the community outreach, where we go from here. So you will be getting a manual. I'm actually still just tightening it up, because after each session, I kind of have, it's clearer for me some of the things I want to make sure are in there. Use the PowerPoints. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send all the PowerPoints as one file now, so they're not separate. I'm actually going to do a few little tweaks. You can use the PowerPoints are yours to use. You can take them, you can, however you want to rework them. I will also be handouts if you don't have the PowerPoint, or you're working and you want to, that you can give the handouts to groups of people or to a couple of people, that they can do the exercises in the handouts. By the end of the month, we will also be having videos of this, shorter videos with the instructions, the techniques that will be provided and available for public content. That's the knowledge product. So you'll have that for your usage. I have recorded the sessions. Unfortunately, the first and second one, I'm learning about how to record on Zoom. And so I actually only have the second and the third and today's session recorded, but I am going to redo, this and get the first and second done again, but right now I don't have them if you want to go back and listen to the audio recordings of the lessons. So in the next steps now, what you do now with now you'll have all of this content, how you'll reach out to groups and coworkers, and that I'd like to just go over now. So you'll have all of that content so that we can create a structure for training and disseminating going forward, or any other ideas from you. So I welcome any sharing of how you would then take this. First, do you feel comfortable taking this at this point? Do you feel more is needed? I need your feedback at the end of the fourth day to let me know, like, do you feel like you can take some of these principles and teach others? Do some of you feel that you're not quite confident yet, you need more? I'd like to hear back from you. And you may not feel that you want to do everything that we've done, every point, but we want to be able to, even without all of the knowledge base that I provided you, meaning all the points about the brain and this and that and whatever, if you're able to get the key points of understanding that we want to build calm and you want to build confidence, and why the two are so important, and you can help participants understand that they are emotionally triggered by unworthiness, as you know, you can easily explain, of course, the why we need why calm and the relaxation response and how we get there, the breathing, the grounding, the calming, and the finding the safe place, and then explaining why confidence is a protector as well as a safeguard from stressors and as a coping style, and that we partner the two, the calm and the confidence together, and to build those two. So I've talked. Anyone want to?
Yes, I would like to share.
Yes.
I'm extremely excited. Oh, I'm excited because I find it so timely. As I said before in our opening introductions, I am the youth director for a group of churches, New Testament Church of God. And we have 10 churches on island. From time to time, I plan events with youth leaders and young people. One of the things I had on the calendar for this year, actually over the Easter weekend, is a restoration retreat. Mm-hmm. I was planning, hoping the possibility of having like a weekend session with the mm-hmm. persons who registered, so I can introduce all these concepts, the mindfulness, the importance of breathing properly, some spirituality, and mm-hmm. how to deal with traumas and stuff in your life. So this is exciting for me because most of the information that I would have needed is right here. I don't think because of COVID, we can actually have that weekend sleepover session because it would have been included exercises and all the rest of it. Right. So I now have to tweak it a bit and probably do something online. Yes. You know, so as I said, this is exciting because here you already have PowerPoints, which I have not created anything yet. You know, and I would really appreciate the handouts. I'm really excited. I think this going forward is going to help a lot of persons. Just this morning, somebody reached out to me, last night actually. I responded this morning because I only saw the WhatsApp message this morning, and they wanted to know if I could, talk to someone who recently had a miscarriage. Right. And, and I said, well, that can be classified as some sort of trauma. Yes. And so here again, as I said, this is so important. There are a lot of persons out there who need help. And yes. This is going to go far and wide and help a lot of our people here in Antigua. So again, Ms. Bird, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time, the effort. I think you are a great facilitator. You are lively. You didn't set us to sleep. You just kept the whole session going. Just so I really appreciate it, and I'm grateful and thankful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for those kind words. It means a lot, and of course, I cannot not big up our sponsor, our funder, for making this available. And so this was I have it. We have Kaleidoscope Trust and ECADE, that's the Eastern Caribbean. Oh, I can't remember, but I have it at the beginning of the first slide. They're a coalition alliance. They've made this possible, and it was funded by the Commonwealth program, the CEP. So thank our funder enormously. And of course, it's been identified throughout the slides, but yes, thank you. And so Garalyn, I will reach out to you right after. I would like to have a testimonial and again, all the PowerPoints will be provided for you. I'll do a little tweaking and send them all out and all the other information. And if any point you need any more support with, this is not an end, of course. And the whole goal was just to make it very user-friendly, take big concepts, make it very user-friendly, that we can also train other people to be able to have peer support, so that if we don't have professionals that can provide, who are not trained in counseling, or that's not required, we can still teach people how to and help themselves in a safe environment. And if you have people who are untrained in terms of support or therapeutically, they don't need to be, because we're not asking anybody to share all their issues, their problems, their challenges. They're just in a safe place where And that's why we asked for a most recent stressor without having to evoke a whole lot of a person's issues and challenges in it, so that it allows it to be safe. Thank you. So anyone else can see how we can take this forward? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Pastor?
Hello?
Yes.
This information is very, 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 very important. Because 2 weeks ago, I had 2 persons came.
Sorry, Pastor, can you talk a little closer? We're not hearing you as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay, I'm saying that 2 weeks ago, before the session started, there were 2 young ladies that came to me. One of them, she had suffered from anxiety.
Yes.
And I was telling her to breathe, and I was telling her to breathe the wrong way. So I thank God that I'll be able to, you know, teach her and tell her the proper way of breathing. And this information is so important because we have women groups from the different from the district in Antigua and Barbuda, and the leader for the group already told me. She said, "You gotta help me. You gotta teach us." You know, so these are vital information. And even though we pray, we still need these techniques, you know, to help our people. And I just want to thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for being here. And because I mean, I tried to make this a small group of you know, participants who would just be able to take it beyond this. That was the whole point of this. And I think we got just the right, perfect ones here. So I'm very grateful. Yeah. I'm also grateful, Pastor and Garland, because like I said, I had encountered when I first was training some in the schools, there had been some resistance and saying that this was anti-Christian. And so I was a little disturbed by this, of course. And so I'm very grateful that you just recognize that, you know, it supports. There's nothing anti-spiritual. It actually does the opposite, you know, because most those doing it, I think most people have said that their prayers have deepened, and because they're calmer, and it enables, it enhances their relationship with God and the church. So thank you as well, because that's soothing to me, because I wouldn't want something that's a distortion to get in the way of something that can benefit communities. And Pastor, I know I'm coming on your show tomorrow, but I'd like to contact each person individually and just get some of your own feedback and just some of the next ways forward in any way that we can guide and support this as well. So I will be reaching out, just because I know we won't all have a chance to talk and see, you know, how else there can be any help or support that can be. Anyone else want to share? Because I know we probably won't have a chance to talk about maybe some of the next steps, but Pastor and Garland, you already have your next steps, and I'm thrilled. I'm beyond thrilled because it can reach a lot, and it can. And if you have, by the way, if you get the handouts, you get the PowerPoints, the manual, and you come and you say, I think that this part is missing, or I need more, I welcome your feedback. I don't know it all. You know, if you say, maybe this point could have been stronger, or add this point, or clear this point up, or this is too, we don't need this point, please tell me. I'm here to work with you, and for us to work as a team for the broader community to be able to receive this benefit and access something that I think can be a peer-based approach for well-being, and can become quite standardized. So thank you. Anyone else before we wrap up?
Yes, I'd like to.
Any other comments?
I'm not sure. Are you hearing me?
There's also the poll in in the chat box. It's just a 2-minute poll that I'd like to, find out. It's just assessing the mental health. It's a very safe poll, non-invasive, private, of course. And we just want to get a sense of where women are at right now on the island in terms of their well-being. So if there are no other questions, no other comments, I will say finally that I am thinking, having the positive response that I've had with the participants, I know there are a few of you that might have had some time conflicts or internet problems and may not have received all 4 sessions and may feel you've missed something. I'm actually thinking of doing a reboot at an evening time before the end of the month and inviting some other participants, a small group like this. And Pastor and Carolyn, you indicated, some others that might be interested. If that's something that you think would be, again, I would like a group like this, that's just the right kind of group that can take it beyond this moment, that can share it. That if we had more people so that's a thought that I'd like to put out. If you think that that's something that would be, that you think you would have the right candidates for, if I could have maybe again a group of 12, but I'd like it to be that could attend the full session, and that would be available in terms of time. So I will send a general. My other thought as well is if we could do. Someone is saying they're not seeing the poll. I'm going to just put the poll right back here. I think if you came in at a certain point, here, I'm just going to put it again out. So the other thing that might be just for a short term is I'm putting it here now, is if we create a WhatsApp group of the group of the participants of this session, not long term, just maybe for the month of March, that we can just reach out, and any ideas or sharing, we can support each other. So if you feel that's something, I can start the group. If you don't want to be in the group, just please let me know. We can remove you. And having said that, I will put a group together. Again, if you say you don't want to be in the group, just WhatsApp me and say, I don't want to be included. No issue with that. I understand that we have a lot on our plate. And if you do, then I'll leave it. And we'll just keep it, like I said, for the month of March, so that we can get this all to the next level. So thank you all for being here. I'm asking for 3 testimonials. I mean, I know I can, and either, actually anyone that wants to write a written testimonial, so my own self, a written testimonial, I would appreciate a written testimonial, because certainly the funders want to know that that it's been well received and you've benefited from we have an evaluation form being sent. Tia, did you put the evaluation form in the group chat? I'm not sure. If not, can you put the evaluation form? It's again a very short, I think a few questions evaluation. But if I can have anyone would like to email me a written testimonial that I can provide the funders with the benefit that because you would be considered the beneficiaries for the project, then that would be very helpful. And then I would also like to record a few testimonials as well, and so that they can hear the voices and hear it more personalized. So having said that, I want to thank you all. It's always a privilege. It's an enormous privilege to have people attend and participate and benefit and take it beyond this moment. And so I'm humbled, I'm honored, and deeply appreciate your being here. And thank you again. And God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Stay safe, everyone. Get vaccinated. Go get vaccinated if you haven't already.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.